I have a really cool little video for you guys today, and it is not real estate or AI related, but it is business related. And so we are going to do a little bit of observational case study based on something that I have had the pleasure of watching. So for the longest time, I have been a student of culture building. And this weekend, I got the pleasure of attending an event here in St. Louis, Missouri, with one of the biggest companies that has successfully executed culture, in my opinion, in a really powerful way. And it's a company called Phorm. And on the back end of things, I've been a customer of Phorm since 2012. They started in 2009. So it was like right at the very beginning. I found myself in there in Springfield, Missouri, while I was attending college. And the supplements that they sell gave me a really powerful, really good result. And as a byproduct, I became a really loyal customer. And the more I invested time around their company using their products, the more I got to know their staff. And then ultimately, I got to meet the CEO and observe how he thinks about business. And basically, at 19 years of age, he opened the store that I had been going to, and since then has built and grown this business into a multi-billion-dollar supplement, fitness, lifestyle, and now sports drink company. And the latter part is something that I kind of want to observe. So this is Phorm in St. Louis, Missouri. Andy Frisella is the individual who I kind of want to look at. But I have this really interesting perspective because I have friends who work at Phorm. I have friends who work at their partnership company, and we'll get into that in a second. And then I also have the lifelong, I suppose, loyalty of being a customer for the last 13 years of my life. So what I want to look at is their Phorm energy drinks. So this is the package of energy drinks that I received as a member of this event that I got to go to this weekend called Summer Smash. And this is not their first series of energy drinks, though this is a really interesting shift. And I have lots of little tiny micro content from years ago, not years, but last couple of years, that they released a line of energy drinks several years ago. And this line was called 1P Energy. And these are just called Phorm Energy. So completely brand new concept what these are, but I'm going to explain this in just a second. So 1P Energy comes out and they released several different flavors, and they were okay. They weren't bad, but basically it was Phorm's attempt at moving into the energy drink space. And makes sense as a strategic move from a lifestyle fitness supplement company. They are selling pre-workout. They might as well have an energy drink component to it. And at this point, there were lots and lots of different energy drinks on the market. One of the most successful was one that had creatine in it. And so I only imagine that the line was drawn pretty easily from supplements to energy drinks. There's a booming industry of energy drink consumers in America. So that's really interesting. But here's where the backside of this comes in, because I, being a student of culture, being a business builder myself, I love just observing and asking questions. And so my friend who works there was actually a part of the distribution team that was working to go share the message of 1P Energy. And so how they did this, initially they bought a Jeep truck and they wrapped it with 1P Energy, and they would go to lots of different events, both Phorm events through their their like mother company that is under their overarching brand now called Supplement Superstore. So Supplement Superstore is the original store that Andy opened that I have been a customer of since 2012. And as Supplement Superstore started to grow and develop, they built Phorm. So that's the parent company, but Supplement Superstore is technically first. A little confusing in that regard. But Phorm would go to the Supplement Superstore community events. And oftentimes these were considered like community barbecues. And these are just customer appreciation events. You celebrate with your people and you build a community in your local spaces. That's really cool. But they're going to all these different events. They're going to workout events, CrossFit events, hunting, fishing events, all sorts of events. And my buddy was traveling a decent amount for this. And then all of a sudden, I was having a conversation with him, and Phorm had taken a strategic shift. So they are in St. Louis, Missouri, and they're traveling to Kansas City, Missouri, and Springfield, Missouri. And then all of a sudden they're traveling to Arkansas and Tennessee and Texas and all of these different places to start sharing about 1P energy. But the strategic shift was they actually hired someone in a C-suite level role who had experience in the energy drink market. And one of the things that she observed was she went to the gas station that was literally about a tenth of a mile away from their headquarters, and they did not sell 1P energy. She went to the local grocery store that was a couple miles away from their headquarters. It's a store called Deerberg's. They did not sell 1P energy. And then she started going all around St. Louis, Missouri, and realizing that they had not even captured their local market. And so her immediate first statement was, we do not have any business traveling around all over the country without capturing our local market. If you can't do it here in St. Louis, if you do not have a large enough customer base in one of the largest cities in the state of Missouri, you have no business going elsewhere. Wow, that's a really interesting insight from a business building perspective. You got to connect and grow locally before you can look out globally. I think there's a fun little like recycling sticker about that. So that then became the strategic shift. Now, my buddy told me this. I don't know timeline wise, but it feels like it was probably about 2, maybe 3 years ago. And so knowing this, I've had the opportunity to kind of look up and out and watch this happen. So I have been actually, there's a Deerberg's literally across the street from my house. So I walk there and go shopping all the time. And I've been able to watch as they've slowly brought 1P energy into these establishments, and then their protein came into these establishments. And so now they've moved from exclusively selling them in their supplement superstores to now selling them in local grocery stores and convenience stores. That is excellent. That is capturing your local market. Now, all of this comes to a hedge with years and years of growth. And there is an energy drink called Ghost Energy that is partnered up with Dana White in the UFC. And I believe it had some sort of falling through. I don't know the details, the drama, or the business acumen in regard to that. But then there's also Monster Energy Drink that is associated with UFC. So 2 really interesting side notes. But Phorm, being a St. Louis-based business, have all of a sudden, because of the backlash with Budweiser, they've been actually kind of critical about Budweiser for taking such a wide stance in social matters when realistically they are a beer brand or an adult beverage brand, more importantly, I suppose, that shouldn't really take political stances. They are kind of, as my buddy who works there says, anywhere there's a good time, he hopes that there is also an Anheuser-Busch product there. Wow, that's a really interesting insight. And what a great way for someone who works there to actually capture this idea. So all of this is happening, and Andy is friends with some of the people at Anheuser-Busch. Andy is also, their headquarters is right across the street from an Anheuser-Busch distribution facility. Another really interesting fact. I don't know if these are all connected, but it's really interesting to watch how this partnership has been formed through proximity, not only from St. Louis locals, but also just a sphere of influence from your facilities locations and strategic leadership all along the way. So my buddy who works at Anheuser, he actually got to share with me, hey, I know something that is not publicly being shared yet, and June, you're going to get to learn about it, but you are going to be stoked. And that is the discontinuation of the 1P energy and the introduction of the Phorm energy drinks. And all of this came to a head. They launched it during the Summer Smash event, and that's their big first Phorm customer appreciation event. It is this multi-day event. It starts Thursday, and they go into the St. Louis community and they go to different establishments. This year they went to the PBR at Ballpark Village, which is right across the street from the St. Louis Cardinal Stadium in downtown St. Louis near the Arch. Then on Friday, we actually got to do something that, from what I understand, has never been done before and is not available to the public to do, but was kind of a tip of the hat to codify this deep relationship with First Phorm by Anheuser-Busch. And that was, we got to go to the Anheuser-Busch facilities, and they actually opened their doors to us. So they had a catered dinner at their beer garden with lots of different drinks available, water, adult beverages, as well as Phorm Energy was available, coolers everywhere. And they had an open bar for you to get those adult beverages. But basically, Anheuser-Busch said, is there a good time being had? Well, we would like to be a part of that, and we would like to help move that forward. And because we are in partnership with you, we would love to do that for you. And this also culminated in what I think is probably one of the coolest events that I've ever gotten to go to. And it was in their courtyard of the actual brewery, overlooking these buildings that are from like the early 1900s, late 1800s even. Their distillery rooms, all of these beautiful, iconically St. Louis red clay from the Mississippi River brick buildings, right? And we're in the courtyard, and they have a DJ set up, and in the backdrop is these really old buildings, and you see the Budweiser or the Anheuser-Busch logo to the left of you. There's this really incredible clock tower, just an absolutely iconic photo. And all of this was made possible as a partnership of First Phorm. And then Saturday is the actual First Phorm event. Now, First Phorm has a charity called 30 for the Kids. And essentially what 30 for the Kids is several years back, they decided that they were going to start sponsoring a community in Haiti because they felt moved to, and they built a school. They helped take care of these children, both with clothing, education, as well as food, and really just providing for the community. And so this 30 for the Kids was started as a charity to help that. But then while they were building this charity, someone in the local community actually articulated, hey, there are a lot of local needs that are not being met. Why are we going abroad when we can't even help our local communities? And they said, you know what, that's fair. That's fair. And so every dollar that they spend in Haiti, they match to the St. Louis community, helping impoverished areas. So again, local tie-in from a corporate structure, doing good. So it's 30 for the Kids is a workout that we do at one of the local high schools in St. Louis. Essentially, it's 30 minutes of as much effort as you can possibly give. We call that max effort. And the specific workout oftentimes is called the 10, 20, 30, respectively. And imagine there are 2,000 people lined up on a football field on either side of the field. Now, traditionally, it has been end zone to end zone, but this year they actually had so many people, they had to go from sideline to sideline. You start off, the clock sets up for 30 minutes, and you go. You run across to the other side, you do 10 push-ups, 20 sit-ups, 30 air squats, and then you run to the other side and you repeat. And you continue to do that as many times as you can for 30 minutes without stopping. And there are 2,000 people shoulder by shoulder suffering with you. So that's kind of a fun little community workout. Now, culturally speaking, Andy has shared before, the easiest way for you to build a strong culture in your business is for you to build in shared suffering, which is like a really weird statement to make, but it makes very much sense. Now, lots of ways you can build shared suffering. Some ways are better than others. And I would say that a workout is probably much better than the shared suffering that would be some sort of hard deadlines, late hours, or staffing cuts or salary cuts. Those technically are shared suffering. And I come from the startup world, and those are very much things that I have personally experienced. And it akin to me to my coworkers, and it made me really jaded towards the management. And so maybe not the best strategies for a business, but workouts is a really great one. So shared sacrifice, shared suffering builds culture. And so you work out really hard in the morning, you pay your dues, if you will. That's kind of their turn of phrase for that. And then in the afternoon, you go to their headquarters, and in the back parking lot, they have a closed off space that they've turned into a private VIP style carnival, as well as kind of a big concert series. And so each and every year, they bring in several guests. No one knows who they are coming in. We've gotten to have concerts from Steve Aoki, from Vanilla Ice. Nelly came a couple times. This year we had Lil Jon, we had T-Pain, and then we had a EDM group called Two Friends that the first Phorm staff is very much a big fan of. And so this was really cool. But this event was the launch of the Phorm Energy, like I said. And there are so many things that have played into the overall launching of these drinks. Now, one of the really cool things about these drinks, so there was a line of of 1P energies, and several of them actually made the cut into the Phorm Energy, but the Phorm Energy was completely reformulated specifically for this launch. And because of their partnership with Annheuser-Busch, it is now being nationally distributed. So this is the real power in the message that I kind of want to share to you. But I want to look at each of these different drinks. So the very first one is Screamin' Freedom. I imagine an eagle scream. Now, a really cool little detail that is not going to come across in this video to you is that all of this white right here is textured. And so as you're holding this can in your hand, there's a really nice aesthetic feel that comes along with this texturing. It's almost like a little grip, but it feels really nice to have in your hand. And it's just a little iconic. Logo's out. Being a past college cheerleader, that was always something that we emphasized. So logo's out. Now, Screamin' Freedom, it was okay. It was pretty good. It was one of their later produced first Phorm energy drinks, 1P energy, if I can get the names right. And it came with Tropic Lightning. Now, Tropic Lightning was essentially a energy drink that was formulated to be very reminiscent of like a Mountain Dew or a Mountain Blast or that kind of drink. Well, Tropic Thunder did not make the cut, but Screamin' Freedom did. And not only did they reformulate this, but this is a much better drink. Now, me and my buddies got to try it in several different capacities. We tried it as is. We tried it warm. We tried it cold. We tried it over ice. And then we also tried it as an adult libation with a little bit of vodka that had a vodka lime twist. Now, to me, that was the best because then it's kind of like a cherry limeade, but it's an adult beverage. I do want to warn you that, like, I'm not a doctor and you shouldn't drink. It's bad for your health. Literally, any drinking is negative towards your health, but with that, do as you will. Also, this has a lot of caffeine in it, like 200 milligrams per drink. So don't consume too much caffeine. That's like also bad for you. I'm not giving you health advice. I'm just like commenting on a product and a path from a business standpoint that I find really interesting as an observer. Now, the next one that they did keep is the blue raspberry. They renamed it to Blue Blitz. And the blue raspberry is just like a really classic good flavor. But again, blue raspberry, they took the overall flavor profiles and they really amped it up. They made it much better. And it is a much cleaner blue raspberry. So one of the big testaments to this partnership has been in reformulating. Not only do they have access to what I imagine is a larger distribution network because the Budweiser company, Annheuser-Busch, there we go. Because of Annheuser-Busch's network, they have the ability to get it into lots of different establishments, whether it's convenience stores, whether it's grocery stores, whether it's mom and pop stores. They can go wide with it because of that. And in reformulating, they've worked to make it much better. I imagine that it is an autonomy of scale thing, that you can invest higher quality ingredients, higher quality product into the development of it because you have a larger partnership with it. And that to me is really interesting. I'm sure there's some science behind it that I just truthfully do not know. But from a business acumen standpoint, it's really interesting to me that they took what was a good product and they made it even better. And then once it was ready to go, they hit mass distribution. Now, from my seat of things, that's actually what Mark and I are working to do right now with our software is we are taking Sam, the Systems Accelerator Manager, and we are working to build it as close to what we think is perfect as we can. And then once we do that, we're pretty sure that we have a specific date in mind, and maybe I'll save that for another time. But once we hit that, we are going to go guns blazing, full throttle, hit the 11 on the amplifier out into the market with the goal of hitting mass adoption quickly. And that's kind of how businesses work is you get your product where you need it. You establish a base. Perhaps the 1P energy was what you could call like their beta test. And the reason for it being local in the community as well as to the supplement superstores is because those are their people. Those are their customers. They're validating, okay, can we get into the energy drink space? Will people consume our energy drinks? Are they even worth consuming? And then at the end of that, you have this really great case study of, okay, not only can we, but here are the best flavors that people consume the most. So we can consolidate down from, I want to say it was 7 flavors, maybe six or 7 flavors to 4 flavors. And we can do that really successfully. So they had the metrics, if you will, to be able to accomplish that. Now, the last one that was also rebranded, but is from the 1P line, is their orange. And I believe it was Orange Sunrise before. Now it's Orange Fury. All of these do have this textural piece to it, and it's just really aesthetically pleasing to me. It's not ASMR, but it's nice. And orange is by far my favorite. But honestly, if you are going to indulge in an adult libation, the Screamin' Freedom, I think, was the best at accomplishing that. But again, drink responsibly. Don't be a dummy, right? So the Orange Fury was the last one. Now, this is where we get into some really nuanced things. So some of the ones that did not make the cut, obviously, the Tropic Thunder did not, and that kind of makes sense. It wasn't bad, it just wasn't great. But then the one that I personally did not like, will not consume, would actively go out of my way to say do not drink it, was the Cherry Limeade. It was absolutely terrible. It tasted like medicine that had medicine for medicine. If you were to think about it, it was the worst fake tasting cherry. There was not enough lime. It just was not a good drink. That one disappeared. Shocker, right? And so obviously that's where, probably customer feedback, probably customer sentiment, and then just overall purchasing habits came into play. And then the last one that I'm going to showcase is the one that is really interesting to me, because last year at Summer Smash, they released two different energy drinks that were not available except for at Summer Smash. They were Summer Smash exclusives. Now, this is not unheard of, because Phorm releases Summer Smash exclusives all the time. Usually it's just not with their energy drink line. It has been proteins in the past. And in fact, this year, because we are a St. Louis-based company, we as Phorm, because Phorm is a St. Louis-based company, they released a gooey butter cake, which is a dessert that is iconic to St. Louis, protein. And they also have a protein each and every year. Last year it was sherbet. The year before that it was a peanut butter. The year before that, I don't actually remember, but one year they released a margarita protein. It was terrible. Pretty well everyone was just giving away their bottles of protein. Mistakes were made, and that's just, like, you try to do something fun and sometimes it just doesn't work, and that's okay. But this last Phorm energy that they released is from the Summer Smash exclusive, and it is Grape Smash. And it is probably here for a couple of reasons. One, Andy has a podcast, and him and his co-host joke about this all the time. It's all in good fun, and it's like just dudes being bros, but I think it's really funny. But honestly, the grape is probably the best well-rounded overall flavor that they have. It's an incredible grape flavor. It's they nailed it. But this creates the lineup of the Phorm energy drinks that we now have access to. And so this is where all of these things kind of coalesce into one grander picture. And from a business standpoint, I think that it is absolutely worth observing, it's worth looking at, and it's worth recognizing, because these are the kind of case studies that I feel like I should have learned about in business school, but I was never going to, because they were too busy trying to get me to remember terms that were going to be on tests. And that is a product of, I'm sure, lots of other things. But from a business building standpoint, the overall theme of this is there is a company in St. Louis, Missouri, who deeply cares about building in America, doing it right, doing right by their customers. In doing that, they have created culture and community of showing up for the people around you, providing your very best, and doing the right thing. In doing that, they have, for the last, since 2009, so 9 to 10 would be 1 year. 10 to 20 is 10 years. So that's 11 plus 5. For the last 16 years, because math is apparently difficult, they have worked diligently to uphold a set of core values, building a culture. And as they've done that, their community has grown. And this is like a testament to the actual event that I got to go to, because in years past, when they opened their first Summer Smash in 2015, I actually got the emails. I was working down in Florida, and so I didn't have the ability to fly home and go to it. But it was just basically going to be a barbecue. Fast forward, this was the 10-year anniversary, and there were more than 4,000 people at this event. What a crazy movement that has occurred. And this is 4,000 people who believe in the culture, who are willing to invest their time, energy, hard-earned money, and time off to travel to St. Louis, Missouri, to show up and have a good time and celebrate with a company. This is like it's basically a mom and pop, but it's a multi-billion-dollar company that people are so deeply invested in, and I would argue that myself included. And then you have a company that has taken all of this culture, all of this success, and they've applied strategic partnerships to those who align in their area or in industries that are adjacent to their area. The Annheuser-Busch is in the adult beverage industry, but they're also a St. Louis-based libations company. And so, of course, this makes sense to have a partnership with Annheuser-Busch. Of course, they are able to easily produce products. They are probably going to point Phorm in the right direction for formulating these products in a way that is not only going to taste great, but is going to have great ingredients. This is something that I feel like I can trust. Generally speaking, it seems pretty well-rounded. Again, it's not necessarily a health food, but if you're going to consume some sort of caffeine-based energy drink, it's a pretty well-rounded one. You don't have to stress out, oh gosh, is it full of carcinogens, right? That is relying on the domain expertise of a partner in a different industry that is doing a very similar thing to you. Now, conveniently, they're also St. Louis based. They have a distributor just down the road. But in doing this, Annheuser-Busch is able to help Phorm out. I imagine there's some sort of financial partnership that was involved in this. And so Annheuser-Busch wins. And this is the idea of there's no such thing as zero sum in business. The idea that only one person wins is just fundamentally flawed when you allow free market capitalism to work, because we can all bring something very special to the table. And in doing that, we can all win in some capacity. And then the other thing is bringing in strategic leadership who can easily, accurately, and quickly identify the fundamental issues. When she said, we don't even have our local market, why are we sending teams out into the broader areas trying to like brute force our way into a already captured, already overwhelmingly large market, which is the energy drink market? Why are we doing that when we don't even have St. Louis, Missouri captured? And that small wisdom was allowing all of those involved with that to take a collective look at their work and go, you are right. Let's right the ship. Let's point it in the proper direction. Let's start locally. Let's build our way. Let's get an established base. And then let's go out into the world and do better for it. And in doing that, they have been incredibly successful at launching these. And so this has been a really fun cultural endeavor to watch unfold. And from a business building, culture building, just observational mindset, this is a really cool case study for me to look at. Hopefully you've enjoyed me just talking about this and really looking at how these specific products are able to steer a company in a really powerful way. Now, obviously, this was last weekend that they launched these drinks. So what I'm going to be doing is I am going to be watching very closely over the next probably 2 to 3 years, just to see how the Phorm Energy, both partnership as well as the Phorm Energy strategy for distribution is executed. Because I imagine that there's probably a bit of a rev up period, but First Phorm has this really, really big, lofty goal. And it's that they want to be as well known and as built into the market as iconic brands like Nike. And in fact, they want to be bigger than Nike, and they want to do it in America. They want to do it staffing people. They want to do it by building culture, and they want to do it by empowering each and every person that they come across that they can do it too. They just have to do the hard work associated with it. And in doing that, there's already millions of lives changed from the work that they do, both in the fitness space as well as all of the different spaces they touch. But this is truly like a grassroots effort to take a business and establish a focus onto it, establish a culture to it, and align all of the individuals and start running in a really powerful direction. This is something that me and Mark talk about often. The idea that maybe one day Workflow Secrets gets to host our own mega event. That to me seems wild and crazy. And the really nice thing about observing this is they may have had 4,000 paying loyal customers show up to this event this year, but it's year 10. And when they started in 2015, it was not that. And so, I could look at that and go, oh my gosh, that's so daunting. How would we even get there? But then you can really reflect on, no, they started small and they scaled and grew. And that's what they're going to be doing with 1P Energy. That's what they did with this event. And at the end of the day, each and every one of these efforts comes down to the individual daily action performed by each member of their team, performed by each member of their community, and challenged by each individual that would ever look at the brand. Now, is that going to come across when you consume a 1P? Probably not, but you got to start somewhere. And ultimately, a $3 energy drink is a really low barrier to entry into understanding what a company is. What I imagine happens is you see this Screamin' Freedom or the Blue Blitz, or maybe you even see Orange Fury or the Grape Smash on a end cap or a shelf or a little freezer section, refrigerator area. You grab one, you taste it, it tastes delicious. You go, who is this from? Phorm Energy, First Phorm. Well, it's made in America and international ingredients. That's really interesting. Manufactured in St. Louis, Missouri. That's cool. And you start kind of observing the can, and maybe this gets you to go Google or to ask ChatGPT. And then you start looking into the company. You realize that they have this really large, vast, sweeping effort to help people. And then all of a sudden you find yourself engaging with their content, engaging with their culture, maybe you start buying more of their products. And that $3 energy drink could lead you down a path to becoming a lifelong partner in the development of this company. That's a really cool thing. And it makes me as a business builder wonder, what is that little $3 thing that I could be offering? What is that little $3 thing you could be offering that would help bring in new people, that would help align them with what you are trying to do and ultimately help build your success? Now, Tim Ferriss says this idea of 1,000 true raving fans. And essentially, if you can get 1,000 people to love what you're doing, you never have to worry about money again. It's like the TLDR. And that is kind of what First Phorm has done, not necessarily with the Phorm Energy, but just as a culture. They've worked each customer at a time to develop loyalty. And in doing so, they've helped actually do the work of changing each individual's lives. And as they change this life, this person becomes more than a customer. They became an advocate for the brand. They're going to share with all of their community, and the network effect happens. So this is really cool. This is one of those companies that if you have not heard of yet, man, I just really encourage you to look them up and to really pay attention to them, because what they are doing is really incredible. And I truly believe when Andy says we are just getting started, he really means it. And Andy has been a longtime mentor of mine. I first started shopping with him in 2012, but I started listening to his podcast in 2016, I believe. And it started off as a business podcast, and I learned a lot of business concepts and kind of became who I am today because of that podcast. In later years, it has morphed into kind of conversational, social, local events based commentary. He says that he's moving back into business content, and some of the shows that he does is business content. I will warn you, he gets a little racy at times. He definitely has very specific views, and he is a pretty powerful individual in how he delivers his lines, but it comes from a good place of passion. And ultimately, he really does mean well. He is not going to shy away from giving you the tough love style conversations. But this company has done a lot for me, and it's been really fun to watch them execute and deliver. And it's been even more fun that I have folks on the inside who are able to share these little nuggets that help paint the picture and draw it all together. So hopefully this has been a really good case study for you. And hopefully, even though it's not real estate or AI powered software focused, you've gained something from it. But my big ask to you would be that you would comment something that this just sparked in you, or this little insight that you gained just from hearing me ramble for a little bit. And if you do that, I think that would be really graciously received, and I will try to give a response back to any comments as thoughtful as I can. But other than that, if you have started to see the Phorm energy drinks, maybe they are in these little boxes at your local markets, or maybe they are just individually packaged. That's not going to work. Individually packaged. And you will be able to find them at your local stores. I'm not going to drink these for a while now because I knocked them all over the place, but definitely check them out. And you know, if you come back to this video and you just let me know what the taste was to you, if you like the product, if you've heard of the brand, if you've been following the brand, or just any nuance that you have, I think that that's really cool too. But other than that, I'll see you soon.